name is Taylor Mushton. Did your sibling make an impact? In reference to sport, how did your sibling affect your ability to get along with the team? So I conducted a study and used the question, my ultimate question I wanted to answer was, did having a sibling affect your abilities to get along with the team? So some methods that I used, I sent out my survey to 20 people and received 19 responses. I used a Likert scale and yes and no questions with an explanation behind it. So with the survey overall, I had 9 questions that were yes and no with an explanation. Those included the age of the participant, the year they were in college, and their how close they were, if they were close to their sibling, how many siblings do they have, those types of questions. And then with my Likert scale, I had 19 statements that I used. I used the 5-point scale, which was 1 was strongly disagreed and 5 was strongly agreed. So here are my results. So I had 10 freshmen, 3 sophomores, 1 junior, 4 seniors, and 1 fifth year. I had 13 females and 6 males. I originally was going to separate the data between the males and the females and compare them to each other. But since I did not have that many males and the data was very close to each other, I just decided to combine them as a whole to really get a good idea and answer my overall question for the study. So one of the first questions I had on my Likert scale were, are you close with your sibling? The majority did agree or strongly agree with the statement. And there was only 1 participant that did not have a sibling. So in the rest of the data throughout the presentation, I did not include them just because their answers were not really what I was looking for. So some other questions that I asked in my data were, did you play with your sibling growing up and did you play against them? 47.4% did play with their sibling growing up, while 52.6 did not. So that's almost a good half and half did and did not. Only 10.5% did play against their sibling growing up, and that's just because they were very close in age and they had those opportunities to play on different teams. But over almost 90% did not play against their sibling growing up. So another question that I wanted to pull out from the survey I thought was very interesting was, I enjoyed playing with my siblings growing up. So 11 people said that they agreed or strongly agreed with the statement. The neutral is in yellow. There were 3 people that could not say they disagreed or agreed with the statement. The factors that I went back and found were their sibling was of the opposite sex in different years, so they still played at home with each other and practiced together at home, but they could not play with each other on a team because of that. And the blue is strongly disagreed. I had 1 person that disagreed with the statement, and that is because they had a twin that they were really competitive and that made it almost unenjoyable in a sense. So that's why they strongly disagreed with that statement. Another questions that I asked was, how competitive are you? So the majority, 12 people agreed that they were very competitive with their sibling growing up. The 5 neutrals was another one of those factors where there was the opposite sex or a different age range between the 2, but they couldn't disagree nor agree with the statement. And the 1% for the first line was that person that had a twin. My sibling made me more competitive. Still very high results with people that agreed and strongly agreed with the statement. Only 2 people were neutral. Again, that had to do with the age and the gender of their sibling. So these are more of the general competitive questions. I am competitive in general. I am very competitive in sport, and I am competitive with certain people on my team. Still 17, and 16 agreed with or strongly agreed with the statement. So in finding, the data does show that there is a level of competitiveness that can relate to having a sibling. So the neutral and the disagree and strongly disagree, those were only 1 person for the first statement, 2 people for the second statement, and 1 person for the third statement. So those people, I didn't really look at too much, but the data still proves that they were very competitive in general. And so one thing that I found really interesting was there were 9 people that had 1 sibling, and there were 8 people that had 2 or more siblings. So my goal with separating these two and looking at the data was does having more siblings make you more competitive? So this first chart is people that have 1 sibling. The second one is people who had 2 or more. And so these are the same general competitive questions that I looked back and got the data from. So the majority would agree that had 1 sibling that they were very competitive compared to the people that had 2 or more siblings. And so just to kind of a conclusion for those 2 graphs, the people that had 1 sibling were more competitive than the people with 2 or more siblings. One possible conclusion I came to is that if you have 1 sibling, then you are competing against each other and competing for your parents' attention. While 2 or more siblings, you have, you're kind of working as a group and as a team rather than competing against each other, just one other person. And so my overall conclusion, their overall study would have provided more answers if there were more participants. I think if I was able to get at least 30 or more participants, I could have had more data to play around with and really view. That's what I would have liked to have had. The data does show that having a sibling does make you more competitive. And the data also shows the number of siblings does have an impact on how competitive you are. Overall, this study was a success. It did give me my answer that having a sibling does make an impact when it comes to the team, not the overall your ability to get along with the team, but there's certain aspects to a team that you would need, which is like competitiveness, trust. I did find that in my data that siblings did offer that. More participants without siblings would have given me an overall better conclusion on if having a sibling did affect your ability or didn't. Thank you.